Hey guys, it's Sean Uyehara back again with another episode of Self-Made Podcast. And today we have Jan O'Brien, co-founder and COO of Home Connect America. Welcome, Jan. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Thanks for inviting me, Sean. Looking forward to it.
You got it. Tell us a little bit about your story, your background. How'd you get into real estate?
Sure. I got into real estate in 1992 after I spent 8 years in the Army. I was a captain and Black Hawk helicopter pilot stationed in Fort Ord, California, and I got my real estate license. My husband at the time he was a helicopter pilot. He got a job out here flying helicopters, believe it or not. And I've been doing real estate ever since. I've been in two large companies as a broker, managers, trainer, coach, the whole nine yards, and started my own coaching company with a good friend that we also do a podcast on Fridays, Matt Emerson. We call it the Wandering But Not Lost podcast. Sean, I'm going to get you to come in and guest host with us too.
Awesome.
Bring everybody up to speed with what's going on in this crazy market. I hope we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
I know you have questions for me. So back in 2015, Matt and I started our own coaching company, Wandering But Not Lost Coaching. And then in 2018, Rich Brocken and I partnered up to create Home Connect America, which is this unique blend of new agents. So Rich has had a model for years that's new and newer agents with small groups with coaches that manage 10 to 15 people. So I get to coach the coaches who then help these new and newer people get up and running. And we actually help people figure out if they're a fit for real estate, because everybody is not a fit for real estate, as you well know.
Yeah.
And then we have 100% side of the house. So we kind of blended my experience and his experience and came up with a model that we think is super solid and something for everyone. We call it career paths for everyone. And my flavor has always been, even when I was in the Army, coaching people to success. So I'm passionate about training, coaching, and empowering people to figure out what their skill set is and what their possibilities are and helping them get there.
What do you think are some of the things that you find out that I guess maybe some agents don't last, right? Because I know a lot of them get into the business. They probably watch a lot of these reality shows and they think that, hey, I'm going to get in, I'm going to be showing these $1 million homes. And obviously it's a rude awakening, right? When they get into the business.
I'm going to make $100,000. That's what everybody always says when they're brand new. And I'm going to tell you, I've been studying this for years. And I honestly think, let me ask you this question, Sean. 10 people, it might be similar for mortgage lending as well. 10 people with varied backgrounds get into the real estate business. How many from your experience are going to make it?
I think 10. Maybe 1 out of 10.
So amazing. I have asked this question for 20 something years and no one who's been around the real estate industry ever says more than 2. So then we look at this and I'm going to tell you what I think, why people don't really make it. Number one, it's they set an expectation that they don't really have to work hard. So number one, it's a work ethic. A lot of people leave a background where they were working 9 to 5 and they made X and they're sort of hating it and they want to go be an entrepreneur. Here's the challenge though. And you know it, you're an entrepreneur. You have to work your butt off, man. It's not, you're not working 9 to 5. And, people think it's flexibility, setting your hours, that freedom that can come, but you have to work your ass off to get things into place, systems in place, and to honestly get it to a place where you're getting repeat and referral business. Let me ask you a question. How hard are you working right now? I know your business is always busy, but you must have been blowing up these last few weeks.
Right now, we're doubling down on a lot of things that we've been doing. But the last few years, we've probably ramped up our marketing a lot more, got better about a lot of social media. That was kind of one thing that I've always personally, I haven't really used it except for the last maybe year and a half, 2 years. But I kind of obsessed about it for the last few years. So, it was, 7 days a week. If I wasn't working, I was watching a YouTube video, I was listening to a podcast, and, my girlfriend hated me. But it was that sacrifice, to try to figure out how can we as a lender bring more value to our realtors that we work with.
And you do it, Sean, and here's the deal. And we go back to why do some people not make it? Because they don't have that 3 things. I think people need 3 things. You definitely have it. One is work ethic. Okay, you just described, you do what it takes to get there. You make the sacrifices. It doesn't have to be that way always, but you do have to do that. And I recommend a great podcast called How I Built This by Guy Raz,
Oh,
NPR.
love that
All
podcast.
right, right. That one, whenever I'm feeling like down a little bit and I want to get inspired, I listen to that podcast, and you hear all these millionaire and billionaire stories that have these common threads of some of these characteristics that I think that you have to have. So I love that podcast. So work ethic is one of them. I think the next one is perseverance. And by perseverance, I mean, you have to be mentally tough. And you're a sports fan, I can see right there from your backdrop.
Yep.
And I think these are some of the same characteristics, by the way, for sales as it is for commission sales, as it is for an athlete. An athlete can have all the skill in the world, but if they don't have a work ethic, if they're not practicing, if we're not practicing our scripts and doing all the things that we need to do to get up and get out there and do our business, and if we don't have perseverance, mental toughness, you could be the most skilled athlete or salesperson, but if you're not mentally tough, you're out. So that's the number 2 reason. And
Absolutely.
I think the third one is just having this success attitude, being positive, and having a business plan and an action plan that they can follow and do it. I think most people want to be an entrepreneur, and then when they realize what it takes, they don't have the stickability to do it. So that's why 20% or less make it. They have those things innately. I always tell people when I'm bringing them in, hiring them, or they're new to the business, I'm like, if you have those 3 skills, a work ethic, this perseverance and mental toughness, and you come from a success, abundance mindset, not a glass half empty, negative, like reading all the news now going, oh my God, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. The mortgage business is all going to fold up. I mean, these are the things I hear people say, and I'm like, you're creating that reality. You know, you have to, is it going to change? Sure, it's going to change. We're going to probably talk a little bit about that today. It's, you know, be careful. Tomorrow is going to be another story. You know, I follow Housing Wire. Maybe you have some great resources that you could share with me to share with my agents on how to stay up on that side of the house. But anyway, those are the 3 keys that I think of why people make it and don't make it. And it's those, it always boils down to those. I can show them the rest. I can show them the skills. I can show them how to write contracts and put a business plan together, all that, how to do virtual meetings, everything in between. But if you don't have those 3 things, you're not going to make it, in my opinion.
Do you think like being on a team or having some kind of coach when you first get into business, do you think that's something that a lot of agents should seriously take a look at?
100%. And that is why we built the model for new and newer agents. Anybody who's closed less than 6 transactions must go on to one of our Brock and Group teams. And this is not a traditional team. This is not a team where the team leader gets all the credit. The agents that are on these teams are just organized this way so that they have support. They have a coach, they have a mentor who helps them in the field, who answers their questions. Right now, we've last 2 weeks ago, before this all started going down, we took all of our training and went to Zoom. We've been doing it for 2 weeks already, last Friday. 2 Fridays ago, we switched everything from live training to online and my team leaders, coaches are working with their teams and doing Zoom meetings. So I absolutely think you need to have a coach. Being on a team can work in other companies and other teams. If the team, let me say it this way, if the team is set up to handle new and newer agents, yes. If they're not, a bad experience for a new agent, because some teams, all teams are not the same, Sean. So some teams are like, yeah, come on, but I'm busy. I'm a busy top producing agent. Come on in here. You can kind of follow along. You know, that doesn't work. The person who's new to the business has different expectations, and they need help on what it is I need to do. Now they need to come to the table with, show me what to do, and they need to be coachable. But I think it's going to help people. What we're finding in our model is it's helping sort people out, and we're helping people discover if they like real estate or not. And we're having people ramp up quicker because of the coaching, the structure, the systems.
How long do you typically give a new agent to kind of figure it out whether this is like a good fit for them, or, hey, you might have to reconsider?
Well, honestly, I get their commitment for the first 90 days that we're going to have that discussion. But remember, we do hire part-time people because I give everybody an opportunity. But when I hire someone who's still working another job, we're going to say to them, look, you have to be willing to sacrifice. You're working 40 plus hours in job X. You're wanting to make this transition. If you're not willing to put another 20 hours a week into very specific things that your coach is going to show you, then you might as well just go put your license in a non-MLS company and just refer. You don't have to lose because you went to real estate school, but if you can't make that short, that 6 months plus of working extra time you're not going to ever learn how to do real estate. So you can make the transition. So part-time, that's how we work with that. Everyone else, it's about, we built a coaching manual. I have a coaching manual for our coaches that specifically starts with the keys to success for anybody getting started is connect with their database. They have to learn the software and tools that we have for them to leverage the foundation of their business. We have a CRM and a website. We use KV Core for our company. I want them connecting with their database, let them know, build their database. I want to teach them how to work with buyers, how to work with a lender, how to have conversations, how to hold open houses. Now, of course, we're teaching people how to do virtual open houses and virtual presentations. And that's all part of this 30-day challenge that I'll talk about in a little bit here, and invite your listeners, anybody. It's open to anybody that wants to come over the next, the month of April, basically. We had a launch today, and we'll have a pre-launch part 2 tomorrow, but I'll send you all the information, Sean, so that we can talk a little bit at the end here on that. But yeah, so I guess that's good for right now to answer that question. You can come back
and you also coach agents from across the country as well, right?
I have a few coaching clients that are on maintenance with me. I don't really take a lot of new coaching clients on because that's the commitment to the company that I have now, is working with our team. And there's only so much time in the day, right? But we do still have a few clients that are out there that I work with, and occasionally I might take somebody on, but it's the workload. I'm choosing to help our company grow. But I do believe in coaching. I have coaches. Do you? I mean, I think you can always learn from somebody else, that mentors and coaches, whether they're online or people that you follow, podcasts that you listen to, or people that you pay to help,
Yeah,
grow,
I'm a
right?
big believer in the podcast. I mean, that's kind of what I really dived into a few years ago. And I mean, there's a handful of them that I religiously listen to, some, directly mortgage related, and some just, inspirational, just like you said. It's always good to hear, how some of these guys have built these massive companies, and just trying to figure out ways, that we can do things differently, especially on the lending side. And, that we can even bring value to our realtors too, because I think sometimes we just get caught, just doing our work every day and not really, thinking, hey, how do we grow, or how can we expand, whatever we're doing.
Totally. Okay, cool.
So you've been in the business for a little bit, so you've seen a few, of these market shifts, especially here in Vegas.
Absolutely. And, this is why I didn't get too freaked out when all this started to happen. I honestly have been having conversations for months now with the iBuyers that came into the market, disrupting things a little bit. And of course, they're all on pause right now until they see what happens with pricing and so on. They don't want to buy houses and then have the prices go down, and nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. But I look back to were you in the business in 2008 during the loan
I got
crash?
in 2007. So I got in right when everything was falling apart.
Oh my God, what a trial by fire, man. Way to jump in and figure out how to do this business in the worst possible market ever.
All I heard was, all these guys making all this money, and, guys owning multiple properties and driving the nice cars. And I got in, and I could not find a loan to save my life. And I was like, what are all these guys talking about? All this, hey, you got these stated loans, and, these guys making all this money. And I was like, no.
That was the couple of years prior to that was all part of why we had that crash in 2008. But then we had, on the real estate side, we had to adjust to doing short sales as time went by and people started to get behind. And I actually left one of the first company I was in, to work with my buddy Steve Kitnick, because we created a short sale certification course. We had to adjust. So when this all started to happen, I just immediately went to this whole mindset of, you have to, first of all, just go pull up Case-Shiller, go pull up any statistics that are online, CoreLogic, and you can get the cyclical curves that happen in the real estate industry, just same as mortgages and the whole 9 yards. Things don't always go up, up, up. They have to make corrections and come down. Now, prior to this coronavirus pandemic, I mean, you're a student of the market and statistics. All the experts and economists have been saying we were going to have a stock market correction. We were going to have a housing correction, nothing like 2008. And I even think even with all this, it's not going to be 2008. The conditions that happened in 2008 are not what we have now. People have equity. There's the CFPB, all that stuff. loans were harder to get. Back then, everybody could breathe. You do it 80-20, and everybody was overextending themselves, right? The prices went up too fast. And we've had even 4 or 5% appreciation right now. So it's a different set of circumstances. What's unknown for us all right now, and this is why it's the uncertainty that's causing everybody to be stressed and panicked. And I just believe you have to take a breath, make the adjustments, and stay on top of what's happening. There are opportunities. What I love about the real estate industry is people still need housing. All right. It's not like we're going to have zero sales. Okay. We're going to have people pause. We're going to have my agents are busy. I got people closing deals. We had a little bit of a fallout. Some people lost their jobs, or people decided to let me pause on that, but I'll be back. And so we're just helping everybody stay in touch, use virtual meetings, connect with people, show empathy and compassion. Check in with the people that you know and find out if anybody needs help right now, because you can help them. And here's how we're helping you virtually. Here's the safety methods that we've put in place to make sure everybody's good, right? And that's kind of what we're doing. And we're just adapting and being fluid and keeping our mindset positive and paying attention to what's happening, but not being consumed by it. Sean, a week or so ago, I was like, I had to stop, and I realized, oh my God, I'm watching way too much of this stuff. Saying, and it was sucking me into the negative parts of like, how could this be happening? And it's for the last 4 or 5 days, I have only checked in occasionally on Twitter and checked the news, and I have been so productive, and I have gotten so many things accomplished and had so many great conversations with people, because that's how you can decide. You can get up every day and decide how you're going to handle things, right?
Oh, yeah. That's even one thing, we've been enforcing, with a lot of our team as well, just, reach out to everyone right now, right? Reach out to every single one of your past clients. And I know texting has become super convenient for a lot of us, but I told our team, I was like, you guys need to call every single person, because they need to hear your voice. They need to hear you reassure them, whether it be a client or a realtor, because, we are all, susceptible to what's going on right now, and we all have to stay home. So, it's either you can, like you said, adapt and thrive, or watch the news every day and, just get consumed with the stats and how many people are getting sick, how many people are dying.
Right. I think you got to stay on top of that, but you don't have to be looking at it all the time, right? Yeah. What you hear this morning, you can get cell phone alerts if something massive happens. Everything's breaking news now. Breaking news is such a joke. Like, everything's breaking news, but you know what you have to do on that. But can we talk a little bit about that? I really want to get your insights on. Yeah. I've been tracking the stuff that's happening with mortgage-backed securities and the concerns that the investors have and all that. Started with a week or so ago with the non-conforming and jumbos, and I've read a little bit about FHA. So how is your company, Loan Depot, handling all this right now?
We are, when I moved over to Loan Depot back in October of last year, and, even back then, our CEO, he had brought up that the market could potentially, something could come up, right? Where a lot of lenders are going to be in a position where they could be, struggling to fund loans. And it was more tied to the refi boom that, he was kind of predicting. And obviously
the interest rates, right?
Yes, correct. So, earlier in the year, we had a lot of that stress because rates dropped and, everybody out there was wanting to refinance. But since then, the Fed announcing the cut of the discount rate, and now what's happening, and as volatile as the market has been, there's been what they've been saying to us, that there's a lot of renegotiations with pricing. So typically, when you're locking in a rate, if the market drops, there's that gap that has to be covered, and this renegotiation that goes on between banks and Wall Street, that a lot of lenders can't cover that. So it's, for me, I'm just like, man, we just got to take this one day at a time. Right. The non-QM guys, we got all the notifications within the last week to 10 days that, they were closing their doors, and it was, eerily, reminding, yourself of 2008, right? When you kind of check the implodometer every morning, which was a website that kept track of all the banks that went out of business. So that, I mean, we don't do too many of those types of loans, but it was still, you know, like,
Hmm.
hey, that obviously that's a sign for investors that they're pulling out of the market. And then, like you said, jumbo, you know, could be affected. You haven't seen too many news about that. But then there's also talks of, you know, FHA tightening up, which I've seen some lenders come out and say, you know, they're not doing anything under a 640. For us, as of right now, you know, we're still at a 580. We still have, you know, flexibility to do what we do. I've even seen some other lenders stop doing down payment assistance loans.
Hmm.
So as of today, you know, March 30th, things are still good. Things are still okay. But, you know, seeing a lot of the other players, you know, make their shifts, I mean, I know it's inevitable. It's
Hmm.
going to happen one way or another for us. It's just going to be a matter of, you know, what's going to be the new norm for us going forward.
And the unknown for all of this is that how long it's going to take for us to get for the house, for your side of the house and for our side of the house, which are symbiotic there, right? If people need to get a loan, that we have to work together on this. But it's just this unknown of how many people are going to be unemployed and how long, and what's the stimulus, what's the government going to do to help all these businesses get back to work, and are we talking, you know, through the summer, does it come back, all the things that you start listening to. And this is why I know that investors, Wall Street, all that have to make their projections of what they're going to do. And so that's why it's not going to go on forever. And even if the interest rates hiked up just a little bit or whatever, they're still amazing interest rates,
Yep.
right? So people are like, the sky's falling, nobody's going to do FHA loans. That's not what they're saying.
Yeah.
If you just take a step back, it's the, you know, lenders are packaging up loans to then be sold on the secondary market. That's the whole thing. So those investors are going, we want to go with good loans, A paper loans, right? That's what happened in the short sale as we recovered from short sales, right? Back then it was like everybody always wants to do the A paper, the good stuff. But so I get it. You know, the servicers, not the servicers, the investors for all the mortgage-backed securities are looking at, we don't want to go with higher risk people with lower credit scores who are the ones who might lose their jobs, right? That's all how it all filters into the market. But we can't make this broad statement, right,
Yeah.
Sean, that, you know, everybody can't get it, you know, is not going to have as good of an FHA loan, or maybe the credit score is going to go up a little bit. I just think I think I'm telling my guys, one situation at a time.
Yep.
Take each transaction and each person and look at that and see and help them, you know, one person at a time.
I mean, I just think when I got into the business, you know, like the tail part of '07, I got right out of college, got in, and, you know, it was a lot of conventional business back then from what I remember, you know, and then the crash happened, and then there was a lot of FHA.
Yep.
And there was a lot of people that were like, oh, what's FHA? Just kind of completely, you know, out of the blue, like, what's this new loan program? But yet it was around, just no one utilized it because obviously all the stated income products were there. So making that shift to FHA, you know, and then FHA got more lenient where, you know, hey, you could go to 580. And that was like, holy crap, that's that's amazing, right? Then you had like the Nehemiah and all that stuff was around trying to get people back into the game. And I think there's always just going to be that shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of whatever new loan program it's going to be, or the guidelines, because people still bought homes back then. You know, here in Vegas, you know, they were still closing 3,000-4,000 homes a month. People were still buying. And then now obviously guidelines loosened up, you know, quite a bit over the years. And I mean, if FHA went to 640 or 660, I mean, that's still not gonna, like you said, right? It's not gonna shut down people from buying, or people just completely on the sidelines to say that I can't afford to buy a house right now.
Well, and then for those people, it's about taking care of those folks, helping them find a rental, helping them figure it out, staying in touch with them, because in 6 months or 12 months or whatever it's going to take, they will, if you stay in touch with them and keep them informed, and these are all the things that we're always doing anyway, that we're teaching and coaching people to do, that person will come back when they can buy, or they get their credit where it needs to be. So we just have to make these adjustments. To your point, the market, where the market goes, then the creativity kind of can creep in, how we, you know, like what we're doing now to adapt to doing virtual meetings and so forth. But we don't have to stop. And that's the thing I want to encourage people that are listening. Don't stop. There's people out there that, you know what, even if you were to look at what can you accomplish right now when you're working from home and working remotely, which which is why we're doing this 30-day work from home challenge. I just really wanted to inspire people to get up, get dressed. You know how many people are just not getting up and like going to work? They're like hanging out and, well, you know, I'll get interrupted and then go do my chores in my house and I'll do laundry and I'm binging way too much crazy Netflix. You know, you still have to have some balance, of course, in your life. And I don't think you need to work 7 days a week. So we're structuring something where we are sharing and it's totally open to everybody. Sean, I'll send you the links if people listen to you, want to join, they can jump in. There's no obligation. It's totally free. We have 57 people signed up for this right now that are going through this with us to just have a game plan for how do you work from home? How do you create your space? That's what we talked about today. Tomorrow it's about knowing the numbers in the market. And this is a pre-launch. Then every day we're dripping out something, one tip, one content idea, some resource that's going to help you with your business. And then some accountability checks along the way. Mondays at 9 o'clock are going to be 4 Mondays in a row starting next week on how to actually do a virtual Zoom meeting. We're going to roll
open to lenders as well as.
Yeah, totally. It's open to lenders and, you know, we're going to be talking some real estate. However, the content will be great for anybody because in those 4 Mondays, we're going to talk about how do you do a virtual buyer consultation? How would you get the lender involved in that? Could you bring the lender in and introduce them? As a matter of fact, I would love to have you help me with that. I'll talk to you about that because we could have you come in and we could do that whole role play, like how do we introduce our lender and how do we get them in and
Sure,
how do you introduce a lender to the buyer? Then we're going to do a virtual open house the following week, the following Monday. Then we're going to do the third is how to do a virtual listing presentation, how to work with a seller totally remotely. And which is of course leveraging all the way that you should have been doing all along, 3-day tours and virtual tours and just how you can use all this technology and do minimally go to the house, you know, maybe meet the videographer and so on. But everything can be done remotely, as we know. Everything can be done digitally. Then we're going to talk about doing workshops. So we're definitely going to get with you. I have a call with Cosmo later, who's a business partner, to talk about taking buyer workshops and seminars and stuff online virtually. And how do we start getting people that are sitting around? Because here's what people are home. And if they're thinking about buying or selling real estate, guess what? They're looking. They're online. They're checking stuff out. And we got to get them off of Zillow. And you need to be connecting with these people or running leads and generating some leads and having conversations and inviting them to a virtual conversation where you can introduce your lender and talk to them about how, if they're not ready now, how you will help them, how you keep them informed. And I'm just saying that I believe if people stay focused on what we're doing in this 30-day challenge, they will get business. There's people out there right now who still need to sell. You know why I think a lot of people want to sell right now? It's because they have equity. They have equity and they may be concerned about everything from jobs to maybe they want to, this is all making people think I'm going to go ahead and move closer to my family, to if the market does go down, I need to get my cash out now. I think some people are you getting people wanting to take home equity lines of credit out?
Yeah, we've had
cash out or refi cash outs.
People look at the investment side to it. I mean, myself personally, I just refinanced my house.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled cash out of my home to look at investing into the market, you know, just because I think when I first got in, I missed that wave, you know, in 2011 when the market crashed and there was all this opportunity to buy. But I mean, I was still learning what was going on back then. You know, I mean, you know, I was 23, 24 and you're not really paying attention to the economy like that. But I remember this one specific investor that I had, and he literally told me, he's like, Sean, this is like monopoly to me, man. He goes, if I can keep buying homes for $60, $70, $80,000, he goes, why would I stop? You know,
Right.
And obviously you look at where that home is probably worth today, you know, he probably at least 3x his money. So I missed that. And I think for me, seeing that the first time, you know, around now, it's like, man, the media did so much to people back then, because I remember a lot of people were thinking like, you know, hey, don't buy. Now's not the time to buy. And, you know, the media, all they talked about was foreclosures here in Vegas. But when you looked at the numbers at the end of the day, right, I mean, property values went down 60, 70%.
Oh, wow.
And why would you not buy?
Well, and all those people who did buy, and that's the issue, you know, you know, what the interesting thing is, people always want to try to figure out, it's just like trying to predict the stock market. Same with housing. You have to watch everything. and look for indications. But the only time you 100% know when you've hit the highs and the lows is when you're past them.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. But so many people took advantage of that. We were, during the foreclosure and short sale, when we had like 80% of our market were distressed properties. People were buying them up that were regular investors to, wholesale investors. It was crazy, right? And I believe that will happen again if we have I don't really feel, how do you feel about pricing? I think this all depends on how long and the recovery of the economy and the jobs. But, are the housing prices going to go down? Well, long term, if people can't make their payments and if there's not enough of a forbearance sort of thing setting up for people in the short term, then yeah, we'll get back into that type of a market. But the interesting thing is, unless the housing prices go down significantly, most people have equity.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was before.
Right now, it's, there's record equity across the board for a lot of people. So, I think thinking back to what happened, during the crash, people were upside down, right?
Sure.
So we were just saying, screw it, I'm not paying my house payment, I'm out. But now you might be sitting on $150,000 in equity. You're not just going to let that slip through your fingers. You're going to sell, like you said.
You'll sell and go rent if you do something, put your money someplace else. So the whole point of talking about this for all of us is that there are opportunities for people, especially on the real estate side, on the sales side, and there are people who want to sell or maybe downsize and take advantage of the interest rates. Yep. Even though we have a little volatility at the moment, it'll all settle itself out. No one's going to let it's not going to crash. I don't think anything's going to crash, in my opinion.
I think, like you said,
we learned our lessons from the last time.
Frankly. Oh, yeah. And that's why the banks have come out already, right, within this 2-week period that we've been on the shutdown and offered to do the forbearance.
Yep.
But the thing that I'm a little cautious about is how is it really going to affect the end homeowner, right?
Yeah.
It just makes me think of like the short sale times when you had to fax in your paperwork or you had to call to try to see if you qualified.
Right.
And then one hand of the bank didn't talk to the other hand. And even though one person said yes, the other guy said no.
Right.
Like, does that potentially happen again with a lot of these forbearances? With people saying, oh, well, I got my letter saying that yes, or the government said I don't need to pay. And well, 90 days goes by and something else comes up.
You know what, Sean, you're bringing up a great point. And the advice I'm giving to all of my agents is that when you're helping people, even tenants here in Nevada, Governor Sisolak, they did that emergency order over the weekend about temporary stay on evictions for commercial and, residential. But it's left everybody with, well, what do you do? And so you know what you do? You tell people you need to contact your landlord. If you're a renter, you need to find out what they're willing to work with you on. And I think the answers for the landlords are going to be, is it a forbearance on rent like it is for mortgage? And if you have a mortgage and you are a person who is lost their job or is concerned about making the payment or can't make the whole payment, you got to reach out to your loan servicer and talk to them about what it is. And to your point, it's not just because the government, stimulus passed and it said that I should have this or the state passed this. You still have to go through a procedure. And Sean was just alluding to it in the short sale. You had to submit a hardship package. There's going to be something that you're going to have to apply for. You're probably going to have to provide something. And forbearance doesn't mean forgiveness. It's just tax it on to the end of the loan and you're going to have to pay that up. And I think that's how it's going to be with renters, unless something comes out from the government in the kind of rescue package here for businesses and landlords and whatnot to be able to provide relief to them to pass on to the homeowner / renter. And that's the challenge, to your point, where things got so ugly last time that it gets caught up in the red tape of a corporate entity and doesn't get passed down to the homeowner or the renter. So I hope that,
it's like, hey, I'm having this hard time making my payment, or I haven't made my payment for 3-4 months, and you're trying to do a short sale. Then you're like, hey, we need a check of $3,000 or $4,000 to settle something, and the homeowner's like, I have no money, and you're like, well, you haven't made your payment in 4 months. You should have this money. Mm-hmm. And I've just been telling people, if you can't pay it, call your servicer, talk to them directly, because just because the media says one thing, that doesn't always happen. Because there's been a couple of clients, they've told me personally, one lady called U.S. Bank twice. They said they wouldn't help her. And then a buddy of mine said he has an investment property and his servicer wouldn't do anything because it was an investment. So,
See, that's what
I
I'm saying.
don't know.
This is the problem. It's like it rolls down, people see it and say, "Ooh, I don't have," and it doesn't mean you don't have to make your payment.
Yep.
If you can make your payment, make your payment. I think what's going to happen is all this is going to flush itself out. So the problem is something happens. Here's the governor's, no evictions, a moratorium on evictions. And then it has to be figured out, what does that mean? Then all the entities, local, state, have to get involved to say, well, what does that mean? What are your rights? And so start with your landlord if you're a tenant. Go call your mortgage servicing, and then maybe it hasn't trickled down to the person answering the phone yet. How we handle this, right? It happened, and then it takes weeks for everybody to put the bureaucracy and the red tape in place on what's the process. That's unfortunately the truth, right? So.
Yeah, so we'll see how this all plays out. It's definitely interesting, but I love the fact that you guys have come out with the 30-day challenge, and you said there's 57 people already that have been a part of it.
We launched today with a pre-launch, so it's officially starting Wednesday, April 1st. So we're going to run it 1 through 30 with a private Facebook group, a support group, and then daily emails that go out to the people that have registered, and those live Zooms where we're going to actually be doing role playing and showing everybody how to do it. Lots of great content along the way. And then on Friday, starting on the 10th, the 10th, 17th, and 24th, 4:00 digital happy hour, Sean, where it's not going to be teaching or coaching. It's going to be a digital happy hour to share success stories and get people to talk about what worked for them. I think it's contagious. Everything's contagious, right? Pun, not kind of a pun, but not really. And why don't we share positivity and successes? And when somebody goes, wow, I had a virtual open house and I can't believe it, I got a piece of business from this. Or I had my lender come in and this buyer, got super fired up and we're ready to go look at some houses. And we went and did things virtually and narrowed it down to one house that we were going to go show. Or we're going to write offers subject to the person inspecting it because we can do everything online, right? These are all the things that we're going to be talking about over the course of the month. And so we're super jazzed to get a group of us to be positive and get out there and come from compassion and empathy, reaching out. You said that a little while ago. You got to call everybody that you know, and you got to say, how are you doing? How's it going? Be of service, be of value, and answer that question, how's the market? And I saw Tom Ferry and the guys at Keeping Current Matters, which I love that also for some good resources. And his script went something like this. So if somebody asks you, how's the market? It's like, you know what? It's day to day, it's hour by hour. But here's the deal. I have some clients, some of our buyers and sellers are pausing, and I'm 100% behind that. And I'm just keeping them informed on what's happening daily, weekly in the market. And this is how I do that. And Sean, some of my buyers and sellers need to buy and sell. So we're moving forward. Our team has adjusted to the market and adapted. And so for both our buyers and sellers, we've adapted safety protocols. And then you go through all your safety protocols, all following the, social distancing and how can you be safe and how can you actually show properties and still be safe? How do you do it? And how we're doing things virtually and explaining that and using smart marketing tactics now. I personally think that starts a conversation of, well, we have to sell our house. If somebody says, is now a good time to buy? Let's, you know what the answer to that is? I don't know, Sean. I need to talk to you to learn more about why you want to sell right now. What are your goals? What's your motivation? Let's jump on a Zoom meeting and I can talk to you a little bit about it, right? That's what we're doing in these things, so you can have conversations. But first, you're just checking in with people because we do care, right? Absolutely. We're checking in. We're being of value. We're here. We haven't closed up shop. We might have our offices temporarily closed to the public. One of ours is open. One of us open for business, but we're encouraging everybody to work from home. And the other one, the building closed the outside office. So we have to, the agents can go in and use that, but I want them to be safe, right? Yep. And practice all these procedures that we put in place.
Yeah, I think just by reaching out, like you said, coming from like a human standpoint, right? Of just, you're not even calling to ask for business or anything. It's just like you said, hey, how are you doing? How's the family? Because you care. And more often than not, they're going to ask you, they're going to ask you about
how's the market, right?
Yep.
And you got to have a script for it. And then it could lead to, well, we may have to, put our house, we've been thinking to put our house on the market, or we want to go ahead and take advantage, of maybe buying something because of the interest rates. We want to get our equity out. So we're going to prepare everybody for all the possible scenarios. And I find that most people just don't pick up and make the calls because they don't know what to say. So if we can arm them with what do you say and how do you build on that? So tomorrow my co-host and coach, David Squire, who's been a longtime buddy of mine, who's got a coaching practice, he's got this brilliant stuff that he uses for understanding your numbers for Las Vegas Association, Las Vegas Realtors. He has been tracking weekly numbers for a couple years, and he has this amazing way, and he coaches his agents on being able to feel so comfortable with the numbers that you're not afraid to answer the question on what's happening, where are the trends, and what's going on. So we're going to spend the whole time tomorrow for about an hour and a half going over understanding the numbers, tracking it weekly, and then scripts and dialogues for things that we've just been talking about. And then we're going to launch into have a checklist for them, and how do they get up every day, find their space to work in, go to work. So the subtitle of this thing is, 30-day work from home challenge. Get up, get dressed, get to work remotely and virtually. Because that's what we need to do right now. We have to actually work. We need to come in and have some fun with this. I honestly think that at the end of this, as we transition to whatever this new normal is going to be, this is our normal now. It's going to change slightly in a few weeks and a few months. I feel so many people are going to be comfortable with this tech that they're going to like this moving forward. And I think this is the way we have to continue to do your business. And then you're going to go meet people. But I have been so efficient in the last week and a half because I'm not traveling. I'm not having to go from this office to that office. I'm knocking stuff out. I'm getting things done. I'm talking to agents. I'm doing virtual meetings with people. I'm coaching people. And I'm just like so jazzed at how efficient you can be. And I'm finding the balance to get up and get out and take a walk and exercise as well, right?
Yeah. What do you think about some of the agents that maybe, or even lenders, right? They've been in the business for a while, and they think that they've got their system down pat, but they may not be adopting social media or technology as much as maybe they should. What would be, your advice to them, since you're coaching a bunch of people and obviously, you're running a pretty successful brokerage?
You know what? You got to adapt now or die. I have to say, if you don't embrace tech and social media, the handwriting's been on the wall for a while now. You could probably squeak out some transactions, and there's a handful of people that don't want to do it this way. But the majority of the people, the younger group coming up that are buying, this is their preferred way of talking and texting and meeting and virtual meet. I like the virtual meeting. Like what we're doing right now is, if I didn't know you, we could build rapport. I could get to know you so much more than on a phone call, definitely more than a text. So we could then use those other things to follow up. But I have been into tech and social media forever. I've been blogging since 2006. So I think it takes a while. I think this event, and that's what this is, everybody, this is an event that's happening, and it's not a housing market event. The housing market and the mortgage industry is impacted by the economy of the economics of it all, what's happening to our economy and the job situations. That's really what this is about. We're all having to work from home and businesses are closed. It's eerie, isn't it? Have you been out and about and you're like, businesses shut down, people aren't in groups, and the only thing open is the grocery stores and the pharmacies and the people that the restaurants that have adapted for pickup or drive-through.
Yeah, it's I normally hate leaving my house to do anything on the weekends, but now I'm like, if we need to go to the store, I'm like, let's go, because I need to get out of the house. But yeah, you just not seeing the normal, stores open, and just,
it's weird. It is.
I haven't been down to the Strip yet, but
I haven't either.
Just seeing photos and stuff, it's kind of odd, just knowing how
post-apocalyptic, right? That's what it would be like. But this too shall pass, as people are saying. And so make the adjustments now. But I really do believe, just back to your question on tech and adjusting tech, this is your opportunity, if you're listening and you don't like it, it's not that, I think you're going to love it if you give it a chance. This Zoom platform is the easiest thing ever. And I've used every screen sharing software and video conferencing, from WebEx, GoToMeeting, all the way down to, I have a Be Live account. I'm switching to this because and I don't know how they're maintaining the bandwidth and the ability to have millions of people using this right now. And that's the point I'm making. Millions of people worldwide are using this platform and others, Google Hangouts, whatever. I feel like it's going to really come to the other side, and people are like, let's just jump on a Google Hangout. Let's just jump on a Zoom and talk about it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even for us, I mean, Loan Depot, we're really big into tech, so we're always, there's a lot of technology we use within our own, our loan system and our platform. But being able to do calls like this and still have that face to face versus,
Right.
completely shutting down for who knows, right? 30 days, and all right, Jan, we'll meet with you when we can, kind of thing. You
No,
lose that momentum.
it's critical right now. You started out this conversation today with about connecting and staying connected. And there's all these ways to do that right now through text, video text. You're great at that, using video. You guys have been doing that for a long time and leveraging your tech. And that's part of what we're doing. A couple of the things are, I want people to master their CRM. These are things I've been coaching forever. I think there's an opportunity right now to say, just careful what you ask for. There's people like, well, if I just had some time, I would work on my business systems. Well, you have time. And you have time to also connect with clients to see if anybody needs your help and service now, and check in with them and build your pipeline for the next 3 to 6 months. That's what I would say to everybody.
People, I mean, I know I'm guilty of this sometimes, but do you think that a lot of agents, they overlook how powerful their CRM could be of their,
yes,
their
absolutely.
database? I know they always reference like, hey, my business comes from my SOI, but I personally don't think they work it at all, or to the level of what they should.
I'm going to say 1,000% on that one, Sean. And 20 something years of coaching clients all around the country. I will talk to 15, 20-year veterans who do good business, and it's all up here in their head, and it's all database and referrals. And I'm like, wow, imagine when we systemize that a little bit, get you to embrace a CRM that you like, and stay in touch with people. And I think it's a perfect there's a balance in here, right? You don't want to, there's a spectrum, right? So there's people who do nothing and they just get business, and maybe they do one or two things, they connect occasionally. And then the other end of the scale is being way too much, right? Too much contacts. So find a delicate balance where you're being useful. I believe in a hyperlocal newsletter, keeping people informed, be the trusted advisor, sharing successes, giving them information that's cool about not just real estate and mortgage, but what's cool about living in your town and where you're at. So there's ways to be value and stay top of mind. And that is, I think, the number one system right after having a business plan and goals. I always work with people on their database and their system for referrals and creating client appreciation program.
It's not always about spending money to get the new lead.
No.
I think a lot of people try to chase that too.
And your CRM is your foundation. A CRM that's tied to an IDX website is a key. You have to have that tool if you're going to be in this real estate business, because now you're leveraging, when you use your CRM correctly, it is your virtual assistant. You're leveraging it, and the new stuff that's out there with automatic texting and being able to send stuff out on your behalf and remind you who to make the phone calls with and how to build this valuable database that you one day can sell. So my philosophy, I'm a coach for a long while, and my specialty is teams. I specialize in team building. In fact, when I started my coaching company with my partner, Matt, we built an entire program on how to build, it's called realestateteambuilder.com. It's how to build a team from the ground up with all the materials, all the tools, online training. And we folded all that into Home Connect America to be like the home for teams. You don't have to be a team to be at Home Connect America, but you're a team if it's you and an assistant. That's a team. So once you're at a certain level in this business, whether you've done this, you have a team, Sean, you get busy enough and you're closing X number of transactions or loans every month. And for me, it's 2 for real estate agents. They need to leverage an assistant. There's 20 to 25% of the tasks that a real estate professional does on a daily basis that they need to have tasks to somebody else. So they can either A, have more balance in their life and have some downtime with their friends, family, significant others, or B, generate some more business, right? So I consider an assistant a team. So I really specialize in teams, and I think the future is teams. It's not the future. It's been teams have been it forever, because it's no fun doing this by yourself. Your team is your lender, the people that you work with for escrow. It's other people that might work with you to share business. But when you do that together and you find the strengths of each individual person, then you're providing more value to your clients, in my opinion. So
that's awesome. Well, Jan, we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us and, share some knowledge, and obviously
Awesome.
open up about your 30-day work from home challenge. I think that's phenomenal. I definitely, I know we'll be talking offline about that and see how we can help you out with that as well.
Yeah, totally. I want to get you involved. I'll send you the info so people could still register if they want to be involved in it. And wherever you post, and I got to make sure I'm following you. I'm subscribed to your podcast, but do you post your stuff somewhere too? Do you have like show notes and stuff that you put
Yep,
up?
we'll put the show. We'll get
All right,
all the
cool.
links
I'll
in the
send you
show
that.
notes.
Sweet.
We'll put that up on Facebook, LinkedIn,
Right on.
Instagram as well. So that way, again, lenders, agents, don't be lazy in this shutdown. This is going to be the time to sharpen your axe. And I think when the dust settles, there's going to be some shifting going on with some of the producers and guys that are out there. So
I agree. That's what
advantage.
happened last time. There'll be people who will decide they have to go do something else. So those of you that are listening that want to make this work for you and want to thrive, you got to pivot. You got to make the adjustments in your business like we were talking about today. And you got to be around people who are like that, who think like that. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for your opportunity. It was great to chat with you.
Signing off. Thanks, guys.
Right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.